Welcome back to Silent Husband Club. We've missed you. It's been a while since our last story, but from now on we'll do our best to bring you new ones every single day. What would you do if the person you trusted most, the one you shared your bed, your secrets, your very soul with, suddenly revealed herself as a stranger? Some betrayals cut deeper than anger, deeper than grief, and what comes after is colder than rage itself. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and share your thoughts in the comments. It helps us grow and keeps you updated on every new story. I was just a few steps away from the bedroom door when I heard her voice. Low. Sultry. That same tone she once used to whisper secrets in my ear, except now it wasn't meant for me. My chest tightened as I froze, listening to her laugh, the sound twisted into something sharp, foreign, almost mocking. My name is Daniel Mercer. I'm 39 years old, a software consultant by trade, quiet by nature, steady by habit. I'm the kind of man who remembers anniversaries, who knows exactly how cold Claire likes her white wine, who rubs her back after long days in the rhythm that melts her stress. For 8 years, she was my wife. Imperfect years, of course, but they were ours, or so I thought. Her name is Claire Weston. 36. Charisma flowed out of her without effort. She had this way of lighting up a room without even trying. People leaned toward her as if gravity itself shifted when she entered. She could charm a stranger with a glance, and I was just a man grateful she chose me. We were different, yes, but we worked. At least, that's what I kept telling myself. Things began to shift 4 months after she started her new job at Halcyon Creative, a boutique design agency where late nights and weekend projects seemed to blur into lifestyle. That's when his name first appeared in our home like an uninvited echo. Victor. Victor said this. Victor gets it. Victor thinks I'm brilliant. At first, I brushed it off. I'd met Victor Harlow once, mid-40s, tall, slick silver hair, the kind of man who shook your hand while already scanning the room for someone more important. But the way her voice softened around his name, it burrowed into me like a splinter. The signs crept in quiet, like dust gathering in corners. A second phone charger tucked in her purse. A cologne that wasn't mine lingering on her clothes. Her phone locked now, always tilted away. Laughter muffled behind closed doors that fell silent when I knocked. I told myself stories to keep from drowning, because when you love someone so completely, denial becomes its own form of survival. Then came the weekend. I came home earlier than she expected. No warnings, no texts, just a surprise, her favorite breakfast from the little bakery downtown. I can still remember the jingle of my keys, the silence that pressed down on the house, and then her voice, teasing, playful, dripping with a tone I hadn't heard in months. Only this time, it wasn't for me. Something inside me snapped. I dropped the bag on the counter and climbed the stairs, each step deliberate, my breath held like a loaded gun. The door was ajar. And what I saw on the other side branded itself into me forever. Claire sprawled across our bed, skin damp, smile frozen in horror as her eyes met mine. Daniel, I'm so sorry, she gasped, scrambling to cover herself, knocking over a lamp in her panic. Her voice cracked, her body trembling. But I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't even move. I just stood there, hollow, still, as if my soul had been scooped out and replaced with ice. And in that stillness, something was born. Not rage, not grief, something colder, sharper. A resolve that whispered, they would never forget what they did. Not her. Not him. Not ever. That night, Claire tried to explain. Her voice was broken, her hands trembling, her eyes wide like a child caught stealing. It was a mistake, Daniel, she sobbed. Just a stupid drunken thing. It didn't mean anything. Lies. Lies always come dressed as excuses, and I had no appetite for them. I had seen what I had seen, and the image would never fade. I didn't argue. I didn't rage. Instead, I let the silence hang between us like a blade, sharp and unforgiving. She curled up behind the locked bathroom door, crying into the night. I lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling fan spinning its endless circles, feeling nothing but the hollow weight pressing against my ribs. But as the minutes dragged into hours, that emptiness began to harden into something else. I wasn't shattering, I was recalibrating. Every thought aligned like tumblers in a lock. I had always been the one who organized everything, our accounts, our devices, our cloud backups. I was the one who kept her world running. And that meant I had the keys. While she drowned herself in tears, I sat with her MacBook in my lap. It was still synced, still open, still offering me everything. Work and personal files alike. Including a folder she had so arrogantly named Mood Board, Personal. Inside were screenshots, voice notes, photos, messages so explicit they read like a parody of passion. Victor's voice notes calling her babe, her words dripping with hunger she never saved for me. Still thinking about your taste from last night. It's torture sitting next to you pretending I don't want to crawl under the table. They weren't even hiding it. No, they were celebrating it, documenting their affair like it was some twisted art project. I copied everything. Every message. Every email. Every file. Each late-night meeting neatly aligned with evidence of betrayal. The truth wasn't just what I saw upstairs, it was here, archived, undeniable, permanent. I didn't sleep. By morning, I had already begun. Step 1, gather the evidence. Step 2, track the patterns. While Claire slept in her shame, I installed software she would never notice, silent, ruthless, invisible. Remote monitoring, real-time logs of her messages, her photos, even her keystrokes. Questionable, yes. But effective beyond measure. Within 4 days, I could have written a book titled How to Burn Your Marriage in 30 Days or Less. She thought she was clever. She thought she was careful. But every word she typed, every place she went, every lie she told, I was there in the shadows, watching. I didn't want her to fall alone. No, her downfall deserved an audience. People who had skin in the game. People who deserved the truth. Derek, for instance, a quiet coworker of hers, married to Victor's assistant. She had suspected something for months but lacked proof. Then there was Emily, Claire's closest friend, the one who once whispered to me at a party, "I don't trust Victor, he has that look." And finally, Margaret Weston, Claire's older sister, sharp-eyed and highly respected, who just happened to sit on Halcyon Creative's board of directors. To each of them I reached out, asking only for 10 minutes of their time. Each gave me 30. By the end of the week, I had a network. A web. And within it, Claire and Victor were already entangled, waiting for the news to tighten. Next came step 3, presentation. I didn't want theatrics. I wanted precision. I compiled everything into a single anonymous package, footage of Claire slipping into Victor's car after hours, the explicit texts, the voice notes, the conference room bookings. On a USB drive I labeled confidential, internal review only, I left a timeline so damning it could not be ignored. And at the end of my report, I wrote one single line, "This isn't a scandal. It's a mirror. Look into it carefully." She thought I was grieving. She thought I was healing. She thought my silence meant I was drowning. But I wasn't drowning. I was waiting for the tide to turn. And soon, it would. The package landed on the polished boardroom table of Halcyon Creative on a Tuesday morning. By lunch, whispers already swirled through the corridors. At 2 p.m., Victor Harlow was summoned into an unscheduled compliance meeting. Claire texted me frantically that afternoon, her words clumsy, her panic bleeding through the screen. Something weird's going on at work. HR pulled Victor in. People are acting off. Have you said anything, babe? Babe. The word, once soft as velvet, now tasted like rust. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. The wheel had already been set in motion. When she came home that evening, her heels clicking against the hardwood, her lips trembling, her entire body seemed smaller, like someone had pulled the air out of her. Daniel, all the directors were in the boardroom, she whispered, barely holding herself together. They had screenshots, emails I thought were gone. They showed me footage. Me and Victor, in the back conference room. Her voice cracked as she fought the words. They said I violated policy. They're doing a full review. I think I'm going to be fired. I looked at her then, slowly, calmly, as though seeing her for the first time. My voice was final, colder than any shout could ever be. I hope they do it in front of everyone. That way you'll finally get the attention you worked so hard for. Her knees buckled. She reached for me, sobbing, but I stepped back. You don't get to say my name anymore. By Friday, Victor Harlow was gone. Halcyon issued a sterile email citing unprofessional conduct and policy violations, but behind the boardroom doors, the truth was carved into him with surgical precision. The investigation revealed that Victor had manipulated at least 2 junior designers, women under review, during their promotions. He wasn't just unprofessional, he was predatory. HR's report cut deep, stripping him of every ounce of credibility he'd built over 2 decades. In an industry where reputation is currency, his had turned radioactive. By the end of the week, Victor wasn't just unemployed, he was untouchable. Last I heard, he moved into his sister's spare room. His wife had left weeks earlier, taking their children. Turns out, I wasn't the only husband betrayed. As for Claire, her reckoning was only just beginning. The shadows had started to circle, and she didn't even realize that I was the one holding the leash. Claire's termination came the following week, swift, silent, and merciless. At noon her tea card stopped working, and by 1 o'clock security had escorted her out. She came home in tears, mascara streaked across her face, her voice thick with disbelief. I gave everything to that company, she choked, her hands trembling. One mistake, and they threw me out like trash. I met her gaze, calm, cold, unflinching. You didn't make a mistake, Claire. You made a choice. Again and again. She reached for me, desperate, but I stepped back. Don't. You don't get to touch me anymore. She collapsed into sobs at my feet, pleading, promising, bargaining. Therapy, sobriety, anything, her words spilling like water over stone. Just don't give up on us, she begged. But it was already over. I walked past her, into the kitchen, picked up a folder that waited patiently on the counter, and set it down before her. Divorce papers. Signed, filed, irreversible. You gave up on us a long time ago, I told her softly, almost kindly. I'm just agreeing with you now. She broke then, not from rage or defiance, but from the quiet certainty that nothing she could say would undo what had already been written. But what cut her deepest wasn't my silence, nor the court filings, nor even the loss of her career. It came from Emily, her closest friend, the one she had leaned on for years. The day after Claire's firing, Emily sent her a message that sliced deeper than any HR report ever could. You slept with Victor while I was covering your meetings. You lied to my face. You're not just a cheater, Claire. You're a narcissist. Don't call me again. That final blow left her adrift, no friends, no lover, no lifelines. I found her sitting on the floor that night, phone in hand, staring at the dark screen, waiting for someone who would never answer. I didn't gloat. I didn't toast her downfall with a raised glass. But I did pour myself a scotch, step out onto the balcony, and breathe in the cool night air like it was the first true breath I'd taken in years. Because for the first time, the silence wasn't suffocating, it was freedom. 3 months passed before the dust truly settled. The divorce moved quickly, clean, efficient, merciless. No alimony. No property split. The prenup, once dismissed as a formality, now activated like a guillotine, severing her claims with brutal finality. The judge barely hesitated as my lawyer laid out the arsenal: digital proof, timestamps, coworker testimonies, HR findings. The courtroom fell into silence, and so did Claire. She tried to fight it briefly, her voice trembling with rehearsed arguments, but the evidence cut deeper than any words she could conjure. By the end, she was left with nothing, not the house, not the car, not me. I moved out a week later, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. I needed a fresh start untouched by her ghost. I sold the mattress first, then the dining table where we once shared dinners, then the wine rack she had begged for during her 3rd year at Halcyon. Piece by piece, I stripped the house of every trace of her until only silence remained. Then I left, carrying nothing but my clothes, my work, and the peace she had stolen from me for far too long. I found a loft downtown, bare brick walls, tall windows, empty space that felt like freedom. For the first time in years, I woke to quiet that wasn't heavy, but cleansing. People still ask if I miss her. My answer is always the same. I don't miss Claire. I miss who I believed she was, the woman I pictured beneath string lights in some Italian courtyard, laughing, wine-drunk, whispering dreams into the night. I miss the illusion, not the person behind it. And that, I've come to accept, is enough. But the shadows of her choices lingered. One night, at 2:13 a.m., weeks of silence were broken by a single message from her. I know you'll never forgive me, but I still think about what I did every night. I destroyed the only good thing I ever had. I'm sorry. For real this time. I stared at the screen, unmoved. Once, long ago, I might have answered. I might have given her comfort, closure, something to soften the edges of her shame. But closure isn't something you're given, it's something you carve out of grief and rage and sleepless nights. It's something you build from the ruins, alone. So I set the phone down. I didn't respond. I closed my eyes and drifted back into sleep, because I had finally learned that peace doesn't roar. It doesn't demand. It whispers. One quiet Saturday, I found myself wandering through a part of the city I'd never really noticed before. Narrow streets lined with art galleries, flower shops spilling color onto the sidewalks, couples laughing over shared pastries in little cafes. I walked slowly, letting the scene wash over me, and for the first time in years, I smiled. Not because I had forgotten, not because I had moved on, but because I had survived. Survival wasn't loud. It wasn't triumphant. It was simple. It was waking up in the morning without bitterness in your coffee. It was laughter that didn't carry guilt. It was breathing freely without someone else's shadow choking the air from your lungs. Claire, I knew, would remember every single day. She would remember when she saw couples holding hands on park benches. She would remember when someone asked her why she lived with her sister instead of her husband. She would remember scrolling through old photos that used to mean something, that now meant nothing but ashes. That memory would be her punishment, far heavier than anything I could have inflicted. And me? I would never look back. I had no need. Justice, revenge, call it what you will. People will argue if I went too far or not far enough. But I've learned the truth. The most dangerous kind of revenge isn't exposure, or humiliation, or stripping someone of everything they once held dear. The most dangerous revenge is healing. It's refusing to become what broke you. It's living with peace in your chest while the one who betrayed you drowns in the echoes of their choices. And that peace walks beside me now. It doesn't demand applause. It doesn't shout my victory. It simply whispers, steady and sure, reminding me with every quiet breath that I am free.
Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, shocked you, or simply made you think, don't keep it to yourself. Leave a comment, your thoughts, your story, your truth. Subscribe for more raw, real, and unforgettable confessions. And if this story made you feel seen, share it. Someone else might need to hear it too. You're not alone here. This channel is a safe space for those who've been betrayed, broken, and rebuilt.